Hey Yuval, hi everybody, and thank you for joining us today for the Fireside chat on AI agents and non-human identity, of course. In a world where our digital employees and digital footprints often precede our physical presence, the concept of identity has become increasingly complex. We are no longer just protecting username and password. We are safeguarding digital identities that span multiple devices, platform, and context. We'll do a quick intro because we have only 20 minutes. So Yuval, please introduce yourself.
Hi, Yuval Malisov. I'm a CISO in NHI, which is the US operation of Bank Hapoalim in Israel. Been doing this for 12 years. Before that, I was in Bank Hapoalim in Israel as internal auditor. Before that, a long career of software developer, network, and other IT aspects. So nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Val. And I'm Omri, one of the co-founders of Twine Security. The idea that we are coming from starting this company was that there are so many vendors, and we are trying to fix the problem we created all the time in cybersecurity, all the alerts, all the things that people need to handle. And we take all the technology that we can bring in 2025 and develop an execution with agents in order to help to augment the way people are doing cybersecurity. Our first product is around identity. And let's have an open discussion and learn more about agents and AI. So Deloitte predicts that 25% of enterprise using Gen AI are expected to deploy AI agents in 2025 and growing, hopefully more later. What are your thoughts on using it in cybersecurity?
The main thing, at least from banking perspective, the main thing is, of course, the regulation and the ability to deploy those safely and not be penalized for it, especially if something happens. And there is the technology is growing and the business pressure is growing. People are expecting this, but there's no clear guidance of what's safe to do and what's not safe to do. So you have to make your calls. The NYDFS, which is the regulator here, at least for financial services, has issued a letter last year about the four main things that they see. And these are basic things, deep fakes, Gen AI phishing, and then they also stick to the basics of change management and third-party risk, and of course the cloud exposure, data leakage. So they're sticking to basics, and that's, I feel, the organizations, the regulated organizations should do the same. Not make the basic mistakes in deploying. And there was a lot of conversation around it in this conference today, around non-human identities in development, in clouds. But in banks, there are legacy systems. You have to find ways to implement those. And you don't have SSH keys. You don't have stable provisioning. You have to manually do this stuff. And there's a lot of systems. And now you want to deploy an agent in these systems. You're going to increase the population of your users at least twice if every user gets his own agent. So these are the challenges and concerns.
And when that will start to happen, an AI agent will start to interact with different systems like Entra, Okta, SailPoint, and all the other vendors here in the crowd. How do we need to evolve our identity management frameworks to properly authenticate and authorize non-human identities while maintaining security, of course, because you don't want to bring another vendor and create more risk, right? This is not the idea.
Right. And this is a new field. This is coming for many people, a problem that they need to figure out and to solve. And there's also a rush to solve it. So you create a risk just by trying, and you need to make sure that you're doing it in a safe way. If you're not sure how it's going to be done, do it in a test. Start doing something so that you can encounter the challenges around actually doing it in production. It's easy to imagine or to theorize. But once you start doing it, oh, wait a minute, I don't have this connectivity, I don't have this system talking to that system. The complexity will reveal itself by just starting. But people need to make the decision to start and do it properly.
So, and now how should organization, in like BHI, like, banks in the US, other financial institutes like insurance, balance the need for AI agents, autonomy, with the requirement for human oversight in IAM processes, right? Because there is a balance, right? If we'll have more agents, the workload will reduce, but you need to do it gradually, right? I think maybe you need to think about trust. I don't know. So what do you think about it?
When looking at AI agents and not looking for from the developer perspective, looking from the user, from the business user perspective, and from that, what do you give your business users versus what you trust your agent to do? For example, will you give an agent transactional authority? Will you give an agent approval authority? If you have segregation of duties between two functions, can one of these functions be an agent? Will it have access the same as somebody else? And also what the problem is that you're trying to solve. If you have a dual control, or if you have input validation or things like that, do you do it because you don't trust the user? And if you remove the user from the equation, maybe you don't need the dual control. Maybe typing typos or fat fingering something is no longer a problem when an agent is doing it. On the other hand, if you have an approver and it needs to check certain things for a deal or some other parameter, and the agent can already do that, do you give the agent the approval authority given that all the prerequisites have been met? So these are questions not only to IT and to business, it's also questions about regulatory perception. Will the regulators accept the fact that you're doing this? Will your legacy systems support? Some systems require a form to sign off. Some systems require an ID.
Some systems require a picture of every time that you change permission in order to show Deloitte that you change it.
Yeah. So all of these are kind of legacy requirements that we're carrying as a financial institution, as all financial institutions. And that will become a challenge because the pressure from businesses to do all of these automated things, and they're on paper great. In practice, you need to find a business case and a use case that this stuff is actually doable and gives the user the benefit of being more efficient rather than, getting their caveats that are introduced by this process, and maybe shifting the risk from humans to this AI agent and whoever is controlling that AI agent and whatever permissions this AI agent has. I think the business process understanding and analysis of the risks is critical in deploying business-oriented AI agents. And not necessarily IT has it. Maybe we need more robust LDLC controls on the development of this agent and involve risk functions, business functions, people who understand the scenarios in which the agent needs to prevail. Then analyzed, you don't need the agent, but if you have an agent and you give it autonomy, what are the rules?
I really like this comment because when we started Twine, the whole idea was about trust. Because if we are not able to build trust with VP of identities, CISOs, the people that are managing identity every day, they will not use it. So this is number one. And regarding the SDLC and all that, it's funny, but we are talking with CyberArk, and CyberArk started to think like a few years from now, how they will protect the agents, right? So in the end, you need community to build it, right? People will need to have new technology, people will need to protect it, but hopefully the collaboration together, there will be real value. So this is the way I think, in the end, try to imagine if 5 years from now, it makes sense that people will continue to take a ticket from ServiceNow, handle it one by one, configure something again and again and again and again. We have a client that have 100,000 tickets per year. 10 people running tickets every day, ticket after ticket. 80% of them are the same. Yes, you don't want to change the CEO credential by an agent, but probably many things you can do. So try to think in the vision in 10 years from now, how it will be, because there is evolution right now. So Yuval, one key advantage is that AI agent can operate continuously at machine speed, handling routine security tasks, while escalating complex situations to human analysts. How do you think the CISO role is going to change because of this emerging technology? And now will cyber team change? Will it be the same, or maybe the hierarchy will be different? More people, less people, they will do other things?
It's a combination of both. A cliche answer. But there's two aspects. One is how it will change the CISO life. It's already changing it by having these conversations. Okay, we're opening up another field of risk. We're opening up another thing to worry about, to maintain, to secure, to manage, and to make sure that we're staying on top of. We're also kind of, in some way, decentralizing. The previous panel was talking about developments, the DevOps driving the boat. Yeah, but it's still IT. When you're giving it to business, now business is driving the boat. That's different. And they don't have the same robust controls or even the maturity on managing the SDLC process or understanding the potential risk. So just overseeing that from security perspective is going to be a new thing that has to be accounted for. But security, a CISO, is also a user at the end of the day. And if you want to see it from the business perspective, yeah, we have a new set of tools available to us to analyze, to provision, to do the repetitive things that we either dread or unable to do or don't have the time. So it opens up a bunch of possibilities, and it also opens up capabilities around accelerating deployments, around analyzing our environment, around analyzing the regulations around it, the GRC field. I mean, LLMs and GRC is pretty much, I would call it a great fit, because these solutions are dealing with the same text and analysis as the contract reviews and the lawyer use cases that are being paraded everywhere. Security also has those, and this will be tremendous help. IAM is another big thing. So we definitely need to now maintain twice as many identities, and we're going to need to secure an army of robots and agents. And who can help us with that? Army of robots and agents.
I really like your comment about GRC. Try to think on a wall that, in the banks, you need to do user access review, like every quarter, every year. Try to imagine a wall that you do it continuously. You don't just do it for the regulator, but you do remediation right after, and you do audit right after, not after 1 year, because then there is useless. It's not security. The joke I'm telling always in calls with clients is that my wife, she's director of engineering, she don't care about it. Of course, you get the report. She, yes, and she move on. She have clients to support production. It's not really a problem. So we need to find other way to do it. If not, we're not improving security. We just continue to do compliance, but it's nonsense. How do you envision architecture evolving to accommodate the growing presence of AI agents in enterprise or in your organization?
There's two ways to look at it. One is the LLMs that stand behind the agents, or the AI models that are standing behind the agents. These are inherently only as good as the data that they have access to. So one of the things that I think it will become a challenge, and already is somewhat a challenge, is access to data. Having the model that you're using, and I'm assuming that other than the generic models that are used in Microsoft or in Google or in Salesforce or anywhere else, if you want to do something custom for your organization with your knowledge base, the agent or the model is only as good as the data that it can see. So you'll have to create some kind of a layer that allows it to either collect and access this data, being up to date, and all that stuff. And then the other part is the ability to connect to all of these various applications. Many organizations in the financial industry, banks especially, I mean, you have your own stuff, you have your vendors, you have your SaaS, you have maybe some core, and all of these are not necessarily connecting. It's not like everything is in the cloud and can talk to each other. You need to solve problems. If you want that agent to talk to another system and correlate data between the two, now you need to make sure that wherever this agent is running and the platform running, it is accessible from connection perspective, from identity perspective, from security perspective, all your vendor management. All of these apply across multiple spaces, and they increase the complexity. And in order to decipher it and maintain it, you need to maintain a similar level of documentation, understanding, business processes, robustness. And all of that is not there right now because nobody's actually doing it. Everybody's learning how to do it. So I think it's an important thing to consider when deploying and putting the right resources behind it.
Thank you. So one last surprise question to Yuval, and then if someone wants to ask last question, we go to lunch. So if there is only one thing you can improve on 2025 around NHI in your organization, what will you do?
I would say that the same controls or the same processes and the same maturity that has been developed for human identity needs to be translated into the machine identity. And it will, I assume, just by the means of necessity, require the various vendors, the providers, not just the people creating the solutions, but people managing the source systems will have to adapt to make sure that same as we created APIs for provisioning and deprovisioning of users, now we have APIs to provision and deprovision AI agents, connectivity, and the source systems will have to support it, or somebody will have to come up with a middleware.
Any question, or we are running to lunch? What do you prefer?
So, and I like what you said. And in regards of security, I would say, for me, AI is non-deterministic, which means that you lose audit trail, you lose accountability issues we haven't solved. So if you want an AI agent to do an approval, perhaps it's not the ideal right now. Except if you have a good solution, then you can go back here and raise some money. Now, when it comes to the knowledge base and the data, you said there are companies out there working on, ingesting unstructured, structured data. Actually, my company does that. My company actually, ultimate goal is to give enterprises the ability to create their own AI agents. It's not, I don't think the idea is for security, but I can see, an application that ingests that data, and you guys have to work out how we're going to allow these third parties to have access to that data, how can we do this in a secure manner. And we discuss a lot about identity here. And I think over there, you kind of become like a marketer to me, where you build your user campaigns, which are not user campaigns, they're actually security campaigns, where you're trying to figure out how to put that all into a state where you're continuously optimizing based on the data, which third parties can help you actually figure out where it is and connect all these different layers between the cloud, the third-party vendors, call centers, you name it. All this is a problem that's currently being worked to be solved. That's all I want to add. No other question. And thank you.
Just to add on that, maybe is on the identity, we need to make sure that whatever we give to the agent, both the access, but also the traceability, the auditability of what they're doing, we need to be able to correlate it. If there's a process that part of it is done by human, part of it is done by the agent, you need to have an audit trail. You need the log, or you need the ability to correlate those actions and make sure. So when you're exposing it to third parties, the same deal. You need to make sure that you're managing it in a way that is sustainable in the long run and not rushing.
Well, thank you, Yuval. You're welcome to come to our booth. Charlie and we will be happy to show you. And thank you for Entro and Lalit to organize it.
Okay, yeah, let's enjoy lunch. We'll be back at 1:45 to continue. There's going to be some amazing